I believe there are 5 or 6 things that you can do that will get you to that next level. And man, yesterday my topic was staying focused. At the sales conference, I talked on staying focused. Mike came out with that schedule about a week ago, and I had the worst week of trying to stay focused ever, and that was my topic. So here's the thing. You need to get laser focused on these couple of areas. Give it, everyone says 9 months or 90 days, 6 months. Here's what I want to say. For the next year, don't take any vacations. Don't go out and buy brand new cars. When you start making money, don't take time off. I'm not saying don't go enjoy your family. Get laser focused. For the next year, just hone in on this business, and your life is going to change. So here's how I recommend you do that, because I know there are people that are just saying, okay, what do I need to do? Narrow it down to these things and work on these areas. This is what I did when I realized I am on an opportunity of a lifetime. Okay, and just so you know, man, when I first came into Family First Life, guys, my bank was empty, my credit was shot, and just in 2.5 years, do you know? And I didn't do it. I just wanted to see what kind of house I qualified for. I qualified for over $1 million mortgage. Now, did I do it? No. I'm still in my $70,000 home because I want the business to continue to grow. So here's what I'm saying. Don't do crazy stuff. When you start making money like you've never made before, for the next year, focus on this. Number 1, set you a schedule that you are not willing to compromise. That means that your wife, your spouse, your significant other, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your children, your everybody, your pastor, your whatever needs to know that every Monday you're going to be at 8 o'clock in the morning, your local time, you're going to be on the phone dialing appointments. That has to be protected. Nobody is allowed in that time. Now, if you was at the conference yesterday when I was speaking there, I was telling you about my wife. For 2.5 years, she knows exactly what I'm going to do. But every morning I'm walking in the dial and she'll ask me, hey, what are you going to do today? And I'll tell her, I'm going to do what I've done for the last 2.5 years. I'm going in here to dial. You have to set your schedule. Everybody needs to know your schedule. James Weir and his wife are wonderful about talking because of their kids and all the moving parts. They have their schedule that they set up. Gary Pegues is really good. He and Debbie about setting up their schedule for the entire month, months out at a time. Ryan Montalto talks about how he'll start. He blocks everything off in 30 days. You need to have a schedule for every day of the week for the next year. You need to dial on Monday, and you don't need to stop dialing until you have 14, 15, 16 appointments for the next 2 days. And then on Thursday, you do it again, and you dial every Thursday. Run business Friday, Saturday. Sunday, if you feel okay with that. I do run some. It just depends. I don't particularly like to. But you know what? When you're building a business and you're broke, you got to do what you got to do. So it may be that for the next 6 weeks on Sunday, you're going to be 5 days in the field, 2 days in your office. Okay? But get you a schedule and stick to it. Nobody can mess with your schedule. The other thing is, where we make our money is dialing. You have to dial. So the second thing that I want to talk about is, for you to be able to dial, you have to get leads. So the second thing that I want to tell you is, scared money does not make money. You have to get over the fear of putting money out there. Well, Mike, you're making good money. Listen, I understand the fear. I understand the difficulty and the challenges when you have bills. If you're not buying leads every single week, every opportunity you have. You listen to guys like James Weir, the number he's putting up, he says he buys $3 leads every single day. Because when they come in and he gets a notification, he's buying those leads. You have to get leads. if you're fortunate enough and someone is buying your leads, my goodness, it's gravy. I mean, you're not putting, all you have to do is put effort in. You're not putting any money in when somebody's buying your leads. But if you're buying your leads, and you know, if you have $500, maybe you don't want to go out and buy the most expensive leads. Go to the CRM. Learn how to shop the CRM out, or where you can get your leads, the Mail Pro discounted leads or the cherry pick leads. Set the toggle on the Mail Pro leads. Set the toggle on the cherry pick leads, so that every time one hits your county or in your surrounding area, hey, it comes in, you're the first one there, you'd be the first one to get it. Buy them up like that. You can get them $3, $1, 50 cents. There's, you know, other than the leads that are 2 years, 3 years older, I have a certain final expense script that I use. I have a mortgage protection, and if it's a 9-month-old mortgage protection, my script doesn't change. I'm buying leads. Buy 50-cent leads. That's the only time my script really changes, because those leads are more than a year old. And if you need it, you know, give me a call. Reach out to me. I'll give you the script. I know I've made 4 trips, because I live in Alabama. I've made 4 or 5 trips up north on 50-cent leads. I bet I don't have $200, $300 in those leads. And in those 4 trips, I probably made $50,000 to $60,000. So it's just a matter of buying it and go to work. Set your schedule, get your leads, and here's what you do after you get all your leads. You dial. You have to dial. If you're not dialing, and listen, I will confess, I hate the phone. We were so poor growing up in West Virginia, we didn't have a phone. So, I mean, I remember my girlfriend, who's my wife now, would call me when we were in high school, and the way she called me, she called my neighbor. My neighbor would walk over and say, "Hey, Mikey, Laurie's on the phone." So, I mean, you know, we couldn't even afford a phone, so I hate phones. But you have to dial. And here's how I dial, because a lot of people say, "Hey, Mike, how are you getting 30 appointments? How do you set 20 appointments in 2 days?" Well, it's simple. Number one, I'm always buying plenty of leads. And here's how I dial. I can't think of Jamie's, Euphemia's wife right now, but I was listening to his wife, and she was training on dialing, and I was still fairly new. This was almost 2 years ago. And she said, "This is what I do. I take 30 leads, and I set them in proximity, closest to furthest away. And I put them in a stack. I dial the first one 3 times, back to back to back." Mike, don't people get upset? And you know, that was my problem. You have to get the emotion out of the way in this. When you're dialing, you have to get the emotion out. They filled out a form. It's our job to call them. You've paid for that lead. Now you have to get a return off of that particular investment. So I dial 3 times, just like she said to do. I dial it 3 times. If they don't answer, and now what I do, I've actually changed it a little bit. I write the last 4 in the upper right-hand corner of the phone number, and I begin to cascade them down on the left, because a lot of times what I found was people was calling me back, and I wasn't answering because I didn't know who they were. I didn't know what they wanted. So when I see that someone's calling me back, if it's one of the numbers I called, I'll pick it up, say, "Hey, Jim, this is Mike over at the Mortgage Protection Office." I'll say, "Oh, yeah, I saw you called me," and I'm right into setting my appointment. Okay? So back to the dialing through the stack. I have 30 of them, and I'm working the next 2 days. So I go ahead and I dial. I set the appointment. Someone doesn't answer. And just so you know, we all get hung up on, we all get cussed out, it happens to all of us. So I'll dial 3 times. Now let's say I go through that entire stack and nobody has answered. Let's just say that's the situation, okay? It's not a reality, but let's say that's the situation. That means I have dialed 90 times sitting there. That took me about an hour, okay? So, but let's say also that I did get a hold of some people. Some people declined, some people hung up on me, but I set 6 of those. So now I have, let's say I have 20 left. I'm going to dial through all 20 of them again, 3 times. My butt's not getting off the chair. I'm not going to have lunch. I'm not going to run errands. I'm dialing. I haven't got my appointments. I'm still working, okay? So I dial through those 3 times. back to back. I'll hit that redial button 3 times. Continue the process. This time I've set 3 of those, so I have what, 17 left? I do it again. Now here's the thing. If I would have dialed all those with no answer, I would have sat there and dialed 270 times. Now, here's my point in saying all that. If you've made 270 dials, I don't care if they are quarter leads that are 5 years old, you should be able to set 10 appointments off of 30 leads if you dialed 270 numbers. Because honestly, a lot of people put 2 or 3 numbers down. So let's say, half of them had 2 numbers. Goodness gracious, that's 405 dials that you would have made. If you're dialing that much and you're not getting results, then we need to work on your phone script. We need to work with you on the phone. But you have to be committed in protecting that dial time, is what I'm saying. So, set your schedule. Get your leads. You have to invest in leads. If you don't have any leads, you're not going to make any money. If you don't dial, you're not going to make any money. The other thing is you have to get good in the home. Once you've done the 3 things I've just said before, get good in the home. Work on your presentation. Go over that client work. You should never go into a home without your client worksheet. So take your client worksheet, go in, fill it out, get the name, get the amount of income, get to know their income, get their mortgage information if you're there on a mortgage protection call. Go ahead, get their health issues out of the way. This is something Kilmet loves when I do this, so I'll go ahead and do it for you. When I'm sitting in a home with somebody, because I want to know quickly if they don't qualify for a term. Someone, I think Amy said best yesterday at conference, hey, when we get there, you can't assume that a 32-year-old is perfectly healthy. 32-year-olds get cancer. 32-year-olds have diabetes. 32-year-olds are too big. Their build doesn't qualify them for term. So this is what I do, because I do work a lot of final expense and I work a lot of mortgage protection as well. So here's what when I get to the health questions, it just kind of helps me keep a flow, and it really makes people laugh when you do it. I've had one get mad, but that's okay. I actually touch the parts of my body that I need to know about from them. When I'm sitting in their home, I'll grab my head and I'll look at them and I'll say, "Meze loco na la cabeza, señor, mucho loco, un poquito loco." And they look at me like, "What in the world are you saying?" And I'm like, well, I need to know, are you taking any meds for depression or anything like that? And here's the thing. This works out every time. I'll say, "Meze loco na la cabeza," and I'm not fluent in Spanish or anything, but I say it, and it never fails. The person who's taking antidepressants, the person who's bipolar, they say, "Oh yeah, I'm loco." They know. So therefore, it's already out. I don't have to go any further. I know that if they're being treated for being bipolar, we're not going to get them a term that day. So I already know what direction we need to be going in. So, and also with older couples, I'm looking at their arms and things like that. I'm looking for, all the blood on the surface of their skin and things like that. I'm looking for where maybe they have ports for dialysis and stuff like that. So what I'll do, especially with the older, I'll grab my head and say, "No strokes," right? You haven't had any strokes in the last couple of years. Everything's okay. You taking any blood thinners? And then I just kind of go right down my body and I put my hand over my heart. Any heart attacks, any heart problems, any stents, any open heart surgery. And then, of course, your lungs are right there, any COPD. And hey, by the way, do you smoke? And what we're doing, I'm gathering the information so that I know where to go with them. So, and then I kind of put my hands on my back. I go, any kidney, liver problems, any cancers, male, female cancers, anything like that I need to know about? No. And this is really funny because, especially when you're sitting with an 80-year-old man who's walking on a cane, I grab my legs and I say, "Now your legs don't hurt from running from the po-po, do they?" And they'll just stare at me like, "No, why would I be running from the police?" And in Alabama, there's the police. So why would I be running from the police? I can't hardly walk. And they'll laugh. But what that does, that gives me an opportunity to say, hey, you have no felonies in your background, right? No DUIs. Your record, your DMV is going to come back good. So that's just something I do. People like it. It's kind of an interactive thing. And then here's what you need to do once you're at that point and you've asked them, do you have anything that acts like life insurance? Do you have life insurance in place? Yes or no? Before you go any further, I would rather you not discuss product or price until you've called your manager, or you've called the agent hotline, or you've gotten a hold of somebody that can help you, especially if you're new. Now, obviously, you know, once you get doing this for a little while, you're not going to have to make that phone call, but make that phone call. There's no sense in you writing a term on a 22-year-old that's type 1 diabetic. So you need, when you call us, we're going to ask you those questions so that we can then tell you what direction to go. So my suggestion is, don't go in telling them, hey, we're going to cover your whole mortgage today. Because honestly, we may not be able to cover their whole mortgage. That's going to be based upon what they qualify for. So here's what you're going to tell them. You're going to say, I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to give my manager a call, and we're going to see exactly what you qualify for. Does that make sense? Now, there's a lot of other stuff, but I'm trying to give you just some general things that can help you in the process of becoming successful, to go from your job where you made $40,000 to making $100,000 maybe this year and $250,000 next year. So we've talked about this. Your schedule, your leads. You have to have leads. You've got to get good on the phone. You have to get good in the home. And here's another thing. You personally have to commit to training. You're self-employed. This is your job. This is your gig. This is your responsibility. And the way you're going to get better is activity will make you better. But committing to training is one of the most important things you can do. When your particular, no matter who it is, you might be with Andrew, Mike Killamet, Mark Mead, Millie, it doesn't matter. Whoever you're working with, you need to be on every training call possible. Every one of them. You have to be a sponge and just soak it up and trust the people that are training you. Rarely have I heard anything that is not good. Matter of fact, I can't think of anything that I've heard training that was not good. Family First Life is committed to training us. I've been in the corporate world. I've been with the federal government. Family First Life is committed to training us to make us the best that we can possibly be. But you have to commit to getting on that training. Well, Mike, it's at 9 o'clock at night if you're Family First Life Southeast. It's 9 o'clock at night. That's right. I mean, it's the sacrifices you're going to have to make to be successful. Like I said at the beginning, this is big boy money now. This isn't a $30,000 or even a $30 per hour job. This is potentially $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year. So you've got to start thinking in that perspective. And I'm going to tell you, when you start thinking about that, you're willing to put the extra hours in, the extra time, the extra work. But you have to get committed to training. Get on America's A to Z. Learn Mutual of Omaha. Listen whenever AMM is training. When Athene is doing an annuity, when Sean Ruggiero is talking about annuities, get on there, listen to those guys. They are awesome at what they do, and you have to commit to training. Now, I want to tell you one thing here in closing that I didn't do soon enough, and this is number 6. No matter how long you've been with the company, this is what I suggest you do. Start hiring immediately. I didn't start hiring until 2018. And I was very sporadic when I first began. And thankfully, you know, I'm very appreciative, very thankful. Last month I hit VP, but I'll be honest with you, I'm about a year behind. I think I could have been a VP a year ago, but I was just like a lot of you. I was trying to get out of a nasty rut. You know what a rut really is? It's a grave with both ends kicked out. A rut is something you just get stuck in. Family First Life is your opportunity to get out of the rut, the rat race of life, and to really begin to do something. But you have to work. You have to be committed to what I'm sharing here with you today. You've got to get committed to your schedule. You have to buy leads. You have to dial. You have to get good on the phone. You have to get good in the home. You have to get, you have to commit to training. Those are things that you're going to have to do. And then the sixth thing and the final thing I'm sharing is hiring. Start sharing this opportunity, because what will happen is it will help you be accountable, because now people are going to follow your lead. If you're not doing training, they won't do training. If you don't care about buying leads, if you're not focused on buying leads and growing your business, they won't be wanting to buy leads and grow their business. They will follow their leader, and they'll do about half of what their leader does in most cases. I am just truly honored to be on here today. I am so appreciative that Sean Mike, who is the president of our company, would trust me to share with all of you. This is, for no other way to say it, this is his baby, and to be entrusted with this is very humbling to me. I take great honor in that, because I know the work that he has put into making Family First Life what it is today. I wasn't there at the ground floor like a lot of people were, but I am very thankful for this opportunity that Sean has given me. I'm very thankful to God for Mike Killamant, who pursued me, by the way, for 6 years before I gave in, just so you know. I could have been way ahead of the game if I'd have started then, but I think this winds up my time. I appreciate you taking the time to listen. Thank you all. If I can help in any way, never hesitate to reach